And she's coming to us to talk to us about habitudes. And some of this we've talked about class, and some of it so you kind of already know, but some of it will be new to you. You probably haven't heard about them as habitudes. So we're going to talk about what you're doing, and she's come and helped us with a lot of things with technology and talked to us about things in our reading groups and our literacy groups. And
this is a treat for me to get to have a conversation with you guys. As much as I love your teachers, I've been really excited about talking to you guys. So if you could come join me on the carpet, that would be great. This is my friend Yuri, and he's going to be doing taping us, because I think it's really important that as learners, when we discover something that helps us, it's our responsibility to share it with other learners. So this afternoon, I'll be going into different classrooms, and I was in kindergarten this morning, and so every learner has something unique to contribute, and if we collect what we hear and what we see and what we get from other learners, and we sort of pay that forward and we share it, then we become smarter. So I always say we are smarter together. Do you believe that? You don't believe that? I really believe that, because not one person can know everything. So if I share with you something that helps me, then what are you more likely to do when I need help? You're more likely to help. Yep, you're more likely to help me. So as your teacher said, we're going to be talking about something I'm very, very excited about. In fact, I wrote a book about it. I even brought it with me. I've got to find it. Oh, it's right here in this bag. So I'm going to scooch over here and I'm going to grab the book. I'm so excited about helping learners of every grade do what you've been working on. Move themselves from good to being great. Because it's okay to be good. It's not a bad thing to be good, but it feels a whole lot better to be on this side, don't you think? And so whether you're talking about good to great as a mathematician, or you're talking about good to great as a reader, or you're talking about good to great as a hero or a leader in the world, there are very specific things that you notice about individuals that are successful, that are doing world-changing, extraordinary work. And the reason I chose the word habitudes is because these are not just things that you see them do once in a while. The important word in habitudes is the word, do you notice another word in there?
Habit.
It's the word habit. I see extraordinary individuals practicing in a disciplined way these specific traits that change them or propel them from good to great. And then when I started looking at the list, things like courage and bravery and determination and trustworthiness, all of those things that really make you a leader and a lead learner, what I really discovered is that it wasn't so much what they actually did, it's about how they think and how much they control their thinking. So that's where I got that it's more than just a habitude, things that you practice. I put the word habit with the word attitude. And you put those together, and what do you get?
Habitude.
You get the word habitude. So one of the things that needs to go on every list, because I try to think about, if I only had one conversation to have with you, what is the habitude, the habit and the attitude that will make you most successful? Even though these are all really important, to be courageous, to have the ability to persevere, to be imaginative, to be curious. I chose this habitude. So let's see if I can...
The bottom button on the right.
Unmute?
Yeah.
Is that right? Oh, nice. And I know this is a little bit big, but this is a habitude I call self-awareness. So before we kind of dig into what that actually means and how we practice it and how we become more self-aware, I want you to just turn to someone next to you and think about those two words, self-awareness. What does self-awareness mean to you? Just those two words. What do those two words mean to you? Self-awareness. I want you to turn and talk about that for a second with your neighbor.
I think it means you're always aware of what's going to happen. Yeah, you're always prepared. Prepare yourself for stuff like that.
Okay? So, what are some of the things that you came up with?
You're yourself and you're aware of that stuff.
Okay? So you, being aware, this is really cool because I get to write on the poster, so that's really cool. That being aware means being able to notice, being conscious about what you notice. That's the awareness part of it.
Like, self means like one person. So
Okay.
like, alone.
I think that's a really important part. A lot of this habitude is built on and practiced and done alone. It requires reflection. It requires us to do a lot of reflecting and a lot of reflection, to pause and think about. And it's kind of hard, like to think about your own thinking or to think about your own self is kind of tricky because we're so busy being ourselves that we don't really think about who we are. And that's why the most elite, the most champion, the most extraordinary individuals absolutely are the most self-aware. You can't be any of those other things without this one first. So you have to know yourself, and you have to know yourself really deeply, and that takes a lot of time, and that takes a lot of reflection. Any other things that came up in your discussion about self-awareness? All right? I want us to read the definition together. And this may not be the definition that makes the most sense to you, but it's one that we can start with. And I said that self-awareness is the ability to think, can you read it with me?
Yeah.
To think and exist inside and outside of ourselves simultaneously. Do you know what simultaneously means? Yeah. Right? You've got to keep on doing it. So that would be continuously. Simultaneously means at the same time. That means you have to think about who you are, what you're doing, what you believe, and what you know about yourself, and simultaneously have to figure out what other people think about when they see you, and they notice you, and they're aware of you. And to figure out how those two things balance out, and to use both of them to help grow you into a different person. So I'm going to show you how I do sort of that balancing act and the tools that help me, because it's something that I had to get really good at offline. Because most of my work and most of my learning and most of my life is done online. So I teach courses online, I interact with schools and kids online, I do a lot of my work online. And what's different about having to show and tell who you are online and offline is there's no other clues except the words you use and your actions. Like, if you saw me here and I was kind of like down and I was just like this and I'm like, hi you guys, I'm Angela, I'm happy to meet you, I'm just really happy to meet you. What else do you notice about me? Yeah.
That you might be going through some tough times.
That I might be going through some tough times. So if I made a mistake today and you kind of picked up that, even though I didn't say that I was going through some tough times and I kind of picked up on that, would you treat me a little bit different? Absolutely. Well, you can show that when you're in the presence of people. You can see from their body language, you can see from their face, you can see how they walk into a room, you can pick up on a feeling that you get when you're around them. But when you're online, you don't get any of those clues. So that means you have to go into your space and into your community online knowing and being really self-aware. It's the most important thing as you switch from finding and learning with people right in front of you and finding and learning with people that you might not meet. How many of you right now have an online account somewhere? A Facebook page or a picture page or a scrapbook or a blog even?
I don't have one.
Yeah, we
So-
don't have one. Our school
Okay,
said
so
one.
your school has a blog. So you've already been working on who am I offline and who am I online. So we're going to practice that offline, and then I'm going to show you how it transfers online. So I'm going to need a piece of paper to show you how I practice my self-awareness. I forgot to ask you, teacher. And sometimes in my reflection, This is really good at first until you work on it continuously to actually write it down. I find when I write things down, I'm better, just like you have reading goals back there, that when you write your reading goals down and you make them public, you're more likely to get them. If I put my goals of being more self-aware and I write those down, I'm more likely to get better at it. So what I do is I take a piece of paper. I'm going to use this really cute little, I love that. This is great because there's two sides of the thing. And so obviously, okay, maybe that's not such a good idea. I thought it was at first, but obviously I want to be the best me that I can be. I don't want to be good, I want to be what?
Great.
I want to be great. So at the same time, simultaneously, I have to think about two things. I have to think about me, who I am, and who I want to be. And I better be able to explain that, I better be able to describe that, and I better be able to consistently demonstrate that. And this is something that takes a long time because who I was at your age is different than who I am now. It is different than who I am and probably will be 5 years from now. But right now, this is what I call 5 words. And when you get on this space, it's really important that you get to figure out what are the 5 or 6 words that best describe who you are and be really consistent with those words. So one of the things that I'm really consistent no matter if I'm with you face to face or I'm with you online is that I am a teacher. Were you able to pick up on that when I first came in? Did I look like a visitor? Or I came right up here, I sat down, I sat right in front of you. What does that tell you consistently that I'm really confident and comfortable in? I own this. I am a teacher. I am also a mother.